Okay, so it looks like we're recording. Got the screen share going. Jill, you just give me a heads up of like a hand or a next slide or something, and I'll hit the next slide over. So welcome everybody. This is our C-sections and intimacy webinar. We are going to be talking about reconnecting with your body and your partner. I'm Rachel Dorneanu. I have many acronyms, but basically I'm a licensed professional counselor, certified sex therapist, board certified coach, all the things. And I have a practice in Cumming, and then I serve clients in Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and Vermont. And Jill, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jill Newcomb-Campanelli. I'm a physical therapist. I've been practicing over 30 years. I'm also a certified lymphatic therapist, and I'm also certified in obstetrics by the American APTA, which is like the certification board for the physical therapists in the United States. My specialties are obstetrics as well as women's pelvic floor.
Nice. And you guys are welcome to pop in with questions if you have them, either in the chat or just by like using the reaction button by raising your hand, just like that. So we have options there, or if you want to wait till the end, you can do that and bombard us later. So we got options. Okay, I'm going to work on, there we go. So things to expect. We're going to be covering things from a physical and emotional side, and we'll be talking about scar tissue, pelvic floor healing, libido, body confidence, emotional safety, pleasure, communication, tools for couples, individuals, somehow in like a 45-minute span. If we somehow wildly run out of time, that's okay. We can always do a part 2. But we definitely want to make sure that we cover all that we can because we know how important this information is. So on to our next bit. So we briefly did an intro. I think there's no need to really dive into it. If anything, you just get some cute shots of our headshots and a pelvic floor, which we'll be talking about. Some things I think that are important to share, at least for when I say sex therapy. Yes, it can be fun, sexy intimacy times that I talk about, but I also work with pelvic floor physical therapists regarding pelvic pain, sexual pain. If there's people that are in the community that are from a religious or conservative background that are trying to figure out, I'm not used to this kind of interaction and behavior and activity with my partner. What do I do? How do I navigate that? That's where I can definitely help as well. And if not, then I can connect you with Jill, which is just fantastic at her job. Anything you want to add about yourself before we really jump in?
Well, the bulk of my practice, I see majority of women, well, obviously all women, and majority are complaints of pain, and that's going to affect your intimacy. So whether you have C-section or not, pain is no fun. So we're all about getting rid of it and moving on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, Jill, take it away.
All right. The slide, understanding the C-section experience. So obviously there are 2 ways to birth, vaginally and by downwardly through your C-section. And I always hope that my patients know ahead of time if they're going to have a planned C-section or not. We can kind of mentally prepare and do some exercises before. But sometimes we end up having the C-section, which was not planned and may have been traumatic. So there can be a wide variety of experiences when it comes to having a C-section. And common experiences are having numbness in the area, pulling, tightness, reading from the slide here, core weakness, you'll get that just during pregnancy as well, posture change that continue to present right after pregnancy. Constipation is a big deal. You may have dealt with that during pregnancy, but if you're giving opioids and your gut is like, oh, what happened to me? I got cut into. The big constipation happens, and that basically is really painful and uncomfortable. And when you're trying to have basically mini babies after you've just birthed the baby, C-section wise, even vaginally, no fun. So we try to get ahead of that. Scar adhesions. What's an adhesion? Adhesion is like a permanent structure of scar tissue that is attached one organ to another. So it could be a skin to your bladder, your uterus to your bladder, to the small bowel, large bowel, all that stuff, nerves. Those are no fun. So we like to try to avoid that if we can, and soften the tissue to keep it flexible. Then there's bladder hypersensitivity and difficult voiding. Right under that scar, guess what? There's the bladder. You think it's your uterus, but your bladder is like right there. And the surgeons probably did a wonderful job using these beautiful clamps to push it down so they didn't nick your bladder, hopefully. But it's right there. And bladders are very sensitive creatures. The bowel is too. But let me tell you, if you get nervous and you need to pee, well, you know, if it's get irritated with some scar tissue, it's going to act up on you. Then there's the perineum, sexual sensory changes. And that has to do with, you know, they're cutting there through many layers, and they're cutting nerves. And so there goes your sensation. Or maybe you have these weird tingling sensations that you don't want, or you have like lightning crotch, which is like pain in your vulva, or in your labia. So that can happen as well. I've even had a woman who lost the sensation of voiding, like she couldn't tell her bladder was full anymore. She lost the sensation of urge. So it's a big deal to have that area cut into. And the other thing that I see commonly in my practice is the emotional disconnection, especially when it was something that they experienced as traumatic. And so that's where I really pull in the counselors here, and give people extra love, be extra kind and compassionate for that healing process. Some people are very upset that they didn't, you know, have a vaginal delivery, and processing that. There's a couple myths there. C-section, no pelvic floor issues. So not to say that you can't choose how you want to birth, but I do say the risks and benefits. C-sections, the tissue doesn't heal as well as the perineum. The perineum is designed to birth and tear and then repair much better than the abdominal wall. So it does need special care, and you deserve that. And the other thing, myth, and they do this for vaginal birth too, you're cleared at 6 weeks, you're ready for sex. Maybe the soft tissue is technically intact enough, but it doesn't mean that you can just like, oh, I'm ready for a marathon, or I'm ready to do this, whatever. And there's like also wide varieties of types of sex. So it's always individualized to the person and how the tissue's feeling and psychological and all that stuff. So.
Okay.
So I guess this one's for me. Floor and scar tissue connection. We talked a little bit about that. All right. Goal, understand how scar impacts pelvic floor, core, and sexual function. All right. So I'm going to bring out my little handout here. So some of these are copyrighted, so I'm allowed to use it because I'm a member, but technically I can't really post it online if it's not my own. But what this is seeing, I don't know if you can zoom in on this or not, but
I can try and stop sharing my screen, and then you can, maybe that's a little bit better. Yeah.
Okay. So you see those yellow things that come from the spine? I'm going to try to do this up here. Okay, those are nerve roots from your spine, or from your low back, and they swing around and they come to the front, and they connect to the tissue areas in the front of our pelvis. And as you can see, we have the groin area, the lower abdomen, the labia, the inner thigh. So when you get cut in here, you're affecting all those pathways. And so there's a reason why you're having pain and some sensory disturbances there, not only with sensation, but also possibly with motor function as well. I'm going to go back to the slide there that has the little bullet points. Where's that? There you go. There it is. Okay. So the cool thing about the fascial layers is that the front part of the abdominal wall here, that fascial layer, it actually helps suspend your bladder and obviously your uterus too, because they're really close together, they're like little cousins, and it swings down and connects to your pelvic floor. So it's almost like one unit. So what happens here also happens here. So sometimes it's like, oh, I just do pelvic floor, I'm just going to do this. Oh no, we're doing this. It gets more complicated than that, but just to simplify. So again, they're closely related. Scar tissue can create protective tension. Okay, so let's talk about that. So scar tissue is like fancy fascia. Fascia is your connective tissue, and scar tissue is how we heal, which is great. We want glue to heal us up, right? But what happens during the healing process is scar tissue is contractile in nature. So it doesn't just lay down and stay flat. It actually gets tighter and starts to clump. Okay, and it will get tighter and clump, but without gradual gradated movement. Okay, so that's why early mobility and guided mobility is so helpful for that. Because as you can see, if the scar tissue, your fascia starts to contract and clump, it's going to grab onto the structures nearby, like your nerves, your bladder, your uterus, your bowel, and trap nerves. And nerves, as you say, you hit your funny bone, that's no fun. Yeah, nerve pain is no fun. So that's the connection behind that. Obviously, scar adhesions, things are pulling and tightening. You get that jolt in your stomach or maybe your labia. It's going to prevent you from moving. It's going to create a fear response, a guarding response. Very hard to relax and have sex when you're having pain or you're worried about it may happen, right? Very, very natural to experience that. Scars can trap nerves, restrict, lymphatic flow. Okay, so lymphatics, we don't often see that. We see our circulatory system, our arteries and our veins, but we don't really talk too much about lymphatics. Within our pelvis, we have tons of lymphatics, and that what those are there's like really tiny tubes. They're hard to see, but basically they move waste. They are our sewage system of our circulatory system. So it's very important to get rid of waste. So the lymph carries waste away from the cells, and it shunts it eventually to your kidneys, and then you can pee it out. The interesting thing about lymph, how do we get that waste into the lymph vessels? You get them through the skin. And well, I don't have a stomach picture anyways, but so you have your stomach there, you have your scar tissue. I'll just hold my picture like your skin there. You have your scar tissue. So the collectors of the lymph are right underneath your skin, okay? And they go in a certain direction. So all the lymph will collect and they will drain into your groin, your inguinal area. Am I in the area? This will be the inguinal area, and the inguinal area here, picture hips. Now, if you have a piece of scar tissue here, that lymph can't flow through that scar. It has to go around. So you have to train the lymph to go through that. So imagine having scar tissue there blocking your lymph. The lymph just kind of like, where do I go? It just kind of piles up. So you've got this waste product in your tissues. And does that help us heal? No, it does not. Impedes healing. So getting that moving, getting lymphatic lymphatics flowing, training the lymph to go around the scar, soften the scar, all those are integral to healing. Talked about abdominal and pelvic fascia could lead to poor sensation. Talked about the nerves, coordination issues. So nerves actually in this area here. Similar to like a knee. Everybody have a knee problem or have ever had knee pain, or your knee just doesn't want to work after you injure it? Yeah. Okay, so your nerves feel the pain, and then what they do is they shut the muscles off. Boom. And then your knee gives away. Now your quad didn't go away. You still have your muscle. It's the nerves being like, oh, there's pain there, so we're going to shut the muscle off. It's a protective response. Well, it also does that to your abdomen. So if you're having a problem like, gosh, I have this pooch here. And this also can happen to pregnant women that don't have C-section. I have a pooch. My abs are way out there. I can't get them back in. What happened? They just fell asleep. Well, yeah, they literally fell asleep. So they need a little waking up. And so that's what I help women do, is like reconnect to that. And it definitely is harder if you have nerve damage cutting into, or simply been overstretched. Okay. And then we talk about altered sensation, hypersensitivity. Yeah. So not only can you have numbness, but you also can have hypersensitivity. So that's a nerve that it senses like it's in danger. It's like afraid of like, oh, we had a bad thing happening. I'm a deer in the headlights, look out. Oh, there might be something that might touch me. And it goes berserk. It gets hypersensitive. And so working on desensitize the nerves there so that you can tolerate touch, because we want to wear our jeans. We want to wear our clothing. We want to be ourselves again and not have to wear, I don't know, garments that we don't want to wear ideally, right?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Next slide.
Gotcha.
Okay, so pelvic floor and scar tissue connection. So just to reiterate, scar tissue traps nerves leading to the pelvic region. What's in our pelvic region? Our bowel, our bladder, the pelvic floor, and genitalia. So there you go. They are all our system there. Scar tissue that's not addressed early starts forming adhesions and sticks to the uterus, the bladder, and bowel together, limiting movement of the vaginal canal during sexual response. Ooh, this is a good thing. So yes, so did you know that our organs move? And they move in their slide and glide because we have fascia, but in the fascia in the perineum, this is my little picture of my gut there. Okay, everything moves. I mean, that you see a lot of bowel there. Yeah, I mean, the bowel is constantly moving. It should be gyrating and having a great time, right? We eat and it's supposed to do this. Well, it won't do that if it has pain or it's stuck together with scar tissue. So say it's trying to move and it gets stuck in scar tissue and it snags in the nerve. It feels like, you know, like someone's pulling my hair. Your hair is caught like a little bit. It's like, that's so annoying. Well, your gut senses that and goes, oh, there's a pain. Let's shoot an alarm to the brain. Something's going on there. And then the brain says, oh, my organs must be under attack. And it will cause your fascia, which has little contractile tissue in it, microfibrils. Oh, don't quote me on that. I had a brain fog there. But anyways, your fascia, thank you. Your fascia actually splints. So it's crazy. It can act like muscle. It's so crazy. So it guards and splints, and then that restricts movement. And what does that do to our lymph, which needs movement to move? Yeah, then it gets stuck. So it's all the system. So movement is good, and stickiness is bad. And then, oh yeah, the vaginal canal. That's very interesting. So the vaginal canal during the sexual response actually needs to elongate, right? That makes sense, right? So when you're sexual response, the vaginal canal lengthens, okay? And that helps, you know, the uterus get a little higher, you know, things move out of the way a little bit, get prepared. Well, if it's bound down by scar tissue, it's no fun. Things hang low, it's not flexible, something goes in there that you want, but it's just not pliable. So that's no fun either. So we deal with bump pain and help women get over that. That's what I help. Pelvic floor pain, again, guarding with the fascia, and that plays in with the pelvic floor muscles. You know, your brain is there to protect our organs. You know, this is like a soft tissue area. Here's our bony pelvis, but it's very vulnerable. So when the brain senses, oh, there's pain, let me splint, it's also going to do that in your pelvic floor. And that's not going to cause a pleasant experience if you're thinking about maybe allowing something to enter you. It's very hard to relax if there's pain and there's guarding and fear. So, and then if you try to force it, it teaches the brain, oh, pain, this is not going to go anywhere. And then you associate that activity with that. So it's like this vicious cycle. It also can occur after years of surgery. So that's an interesting thing. So it's probably on the next slide, but
it is, yeah.
Yes, I will go into that later. That's actually, okay, so here's my next slide. So that's why I get so passionate about this. And when I got certified for obstetric physical therapy, I've always done obstetrics, but then I wanted to like, okay, I got to get some letters by my name. I'm one of the older therapists out there, so I'm not the DPT. I'm like the old school PT. So I'm like, oh, I'd put some letters behind my name. I'm going to do that. So I did this course a little bit more, but I got my letters. So OB, my CAPP-OB. But this was fascinating. They said 80% of women with C-section or other abdominal surgical scars develop chronic pelvic pain. Three things. They either develop chronic pelvic pain and or infertility. So your eggs have a hard time finding their way to the tubes there because of scar tissue, or a small bowel obstruction. So that's where your bowel gets a blockage and you have to go to the emergency room and they have to cut that out because the bowel can die, and or you can get a colostomy bag. And I've actually seen that in the hospital. It's kind of crazy. I'm like, well, I'm just curious. Did she have a C-section? Yes, she did. Did she have a C-section? Yes, she did. And that can happen around 8 to 10 years down the road. Craziness. 80% of women develop one of those, one or all of those things. So scar tissue is a big deal, and you want to address it earlier than later.
When I saw that information, I was fascinated.
So while you may want to elect to have your C-section, I just want you to know the risks, and that we're just going to give you extra love after that.
Yep. Oh, good stuff.
Okay.
We just
so
uploaded you, Jill. Just all the slides on the front.
I'm like, I'm on fire.
You're killing it.
This is my first, I didn't even like practice any of this, so I'm just winging it. So
You're
hopefully
doing
I'm okay.
beautifully.
All right, thank you. So what type of things can we do for early scar desensitization day 1? So I love seeing people prenatally and prep them. So just in case they have a C-section, that's fine. According to World Health Organization, it's supposed to be around 15% of women will medically necessary need one. It's a little higher here in the United States and in this area of Georgia that I like. But anyways, starting day 1, you're not going to go right directly on your incision. You know, I don't want you to touch right where you have an open wound, but you can go around the wound, and that's basically starting to desensitize that area. And you can start with a cotton ball or maybe your fingertips. You know, wash your hands well, and you can go around the scar or around the wound, because again, your body just had a major trauma. Woo, it's on fire, and so you can start there. And also, just by looking there, to acknowledge that was your birth of your baby came out of there. That's like amazing. And you might feel sad, or all those emotions, and they're all valid, but that's still amazing. You made a human and it came out of your belly, and there it is, and you're going to give it some love. So you can start very easily with your fingers, or says silk or soft cloth, whatever works for you, just to get it desensitized. And you're also moving lymph when you're doing that too. So you get 2 for 1 there. Breath work, we do teach a lot of diaphragmatic breathing. That also helps relax the pelvic floor and allows the abdominal wall to excurge. Guess what? That's going to help with the lymph. Move the lymph. We don't want things stagnant and sticking. Gentle scar mobilization. So this is after the incisions heal. You don't have scabs anymore at all. And then what I usually do, some people are more brave than others, but that's why it's nice to have some guidance. But doing skin rolling, a circular motion, light stretching, and I'll just show you a little picture of that here. This comes from one of my favorite books. It's very old. It's like 1995, because that's when I did it. But anyways, so here's the little picture here. I don't know if you can see that, but that just gives you some ideas of the directions. And so, boiled in a nutshell, think about north, south, east, west, and then circles. Okay. And again, as far as like how much should you do? And, I would go by pain. It should not be more than 3 out of 10. You want to challenge the tissue, but it should not cause this. If you're doing that, you're teaching your brain that that's dangerous activity, and it's going to cause that fascia to protect. The brain wants to protect your organs. That's how it lives. It needs its, to eat and reproduce. Reproduction is so important to the brain. So it's going to go. So we don't want to reinforce that fascia to be protective. So be nice and gentle with yourself. You can start above and below the scar, move them closer. And this, I also do a lot of this safe mobility training and gentle exercise to reduce pain, speed, healing. So I made this little spelling error there. It says bed mobility, but without the Y. But terrible. Sorry, that was me.
It's all good. No,
It was like 11:30 edit at night. But how you move is crucial to how you heal. And so I love seeing people before they have the surgery. And if they don't see me before they have the surgery, then right after the surgery, I want them to have it in the hospital. And so if you have a C-section, please tell your doctors, like PT consult. And there might be some occupational therapists that do this too. But this is what we do all day. Everyone else gets physical therapy for post-surgical incisions. You deserve it too. Make it standard. Everyone should get it. That was major surgery, and it's painful. And they're going to help you by teaching you how to safely move, so you don't feel like, oh my God, I'm going to rip my stitches, or et cetera, et cetera. So, and then you'll be much more confident what to do when you go.
Nice.
All right. So abdominal cupping, what is that? Okay, so say if I see someone here, and this is probably a little bit more advanced technique. I would not do this like your scabs just fell off. I'm going to put this suction cup on you and glide it around. Oh, no. Right. I'm going to go nice and easy and see where you're at, and then ease in. But sometimes these are little silicone cups. I love this shape, by the way, if you get silicone cups here. it allows a nice finger hold, because what you do is you put a little bit of your favorite oil, and I like organic coconut oil if you're not allergic to, or olive oil. You can do vitamin E oil. That's a little sticky, but whatever floats your boat. And you put it on your incision area, a fully closed one again, and you put a little bit of suction on, and then you glide it. You go east, west, north, south. You can even, because it has suction on it, you can go and pull it out. So you get like the fourth dimension, right? So you can play with all those type of things. So I'll teach people how to do that. Myofascial release. So that's and in addition to that, like visceral fascial release, that has to do with moving fascia. And so it requires skilled hands to listen to the tissue and feel it release, and not put it in a threatening manner and wait for it to melt. And then we're also I'm training people with the diaphragmatic breath and things like that, all the relaxation, so we can get out of that deer in the headlights to relax and let go, so we can get back that slide and glide that needs to happen with your organs and for sexual health, ideally, right? Mm-hmm. Garment prescription, I will often recommend different things. And the hospital, people usually get the cheapo. It's like this little belly wrap, and it's okay, but I like to get someone and something a little bit more custom. And that's also going to help support their abdominals, because their abdominals, again, they fell asleep. And sometimes they need a little lift, so I might be suggesting different things. Lymphatic massage, again, we talked a little bit about that. Stimulate the lymph nodes. When you stimulate your lymph nodes, they're usually in the creases of your joints. It's really cool. When you stimulate them, they actually speed up. I don't quote me on this, but I'm going to give you an approximate, like 8 to 10 times faster. They're always like collecting. They act like drains for the lymph. They're always collecting, but when you stimulate them, they drain faster. Similar to, like, I say, like a tub, and you've got the drain in the tub, and you're like, oh, I just want the water to get down faster. So you do this to the drain. Well, that's basically what it does. It speeds it up. And so you stimulate the nodes, you get the beautiful diaphragmatic breath, which helps with lymphatic flow. And then you do your lymphatic massage, and then it helps with all that drainage. It's so wonderful. So anyways, there's a little scientific stuff behind that.
I got a question for you real quick.
Sure.
So I know there's some businesses somewhat nearby that, like I think of Forma Beauty. If you've heard of Forma, they do some lymphatic massage through certain machines, certain things. Is that something that you recommend? Is it something that you would prefer for someone to see you and make sure they're safe and moving and there's scar mobility and all of that, and then they go?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I think your basic manual lymph drainage for your minor issues is fine to see people like that. I'm a certified lymphatic therapist, so I have like 140 hours of training. And so I can treat like fibrotic tissue. Like if you think about elephantitis, like I can do all those things, and I actually try to prevent those things from happening. So you don't necessarily need to see, I would say, a certified lymphatic therapist. I mean, if you do, they know their stuff. Mm-hmm. They're going to be really thorough, and you're going to get it all. But as far as like, can we pump our own nodes and do our own lymphatic? Sure, why not? Cool. But I'm just saying that if you come see me, you're going to get it all. So there's an advantage there, but and I can't say oh yeah that business is good or that, but I don't know. I haven't tried it. I haven't talked to them. I'd have to look at that. I usually say when you pick your professional to do your stuff, look at what they're licensed in, and the more licenses, like all the all
the letters.
Yeah, it just means they have more training, and so maybe they would be better for you. I can't say they will always be better for you.
Cool. Okay. There you go. Thank you.
We talk about safe mobility training, activity progression from infant care, basically how to lift your baby and you're laying in bed. How do you get them out of the bassinet without straining your abdominals? It's doing stairs, returning to exercise, and obviously sex. And so all those things I will guide people on, and everyone's a little bit different. Like as far as like it's not always like, okay, first day you do this, and this day you do this, and this you. So it's a little bit, it's varied based on where that level that person is in their healing process, emotionally and also physically. Some people have really rough births, and some people didn't have a rough birth, but they had a lot of symptoms, and it's all the same. So it's all individualized. Reconnecting the brain to body awareness. Yeah. So I like it when people actually look, they see, they touch. It's so important. And when people, and I can understand it, when they have a trauma or an experience that's so awful, you just can't go there. They're not ready to go there. So I have to recognize that. And that's where, thank God, Rachel, you're there to help these women, you know. And I usually with pelvic therapy, I'm like, it's usually heavily recommended that it brings up these emotions. It's such a personal area. Having your birth, maybe there was sexual trauma or whatever it was, such a personal area. Pairing the two services together is so helpful. Corrective exercise, against that's customized, and then abdominal coordination, strength training. You know, it's funny. People just come in and like, oh, just give me a list of exercises to do. I'm like, well, there's YouTube for that. But it's interesting. And I'm actually glad that there's a lot of YouTube stuff, because, you know, if you can't take everything, at least you get something. But people are always surprised. They come see me and like, oh, well, I've been doing this, you know, how you've heard of this program, right? I'm like, well, yeah. And so they're doing it. I'm like, ooh. And then they're like, oh, no wonder I wasn't getting better, because no one ever showed me like I wasn't doing it right. So anyway, coordination is key. And it's very hard to learn on a YouTube video how to coordinate. You need someone's hands to guide and facilitate the timing of it. It's kind of like going to a coach and saying, I want to learn how to pitch I don't know baseball at all, so I'm going to say something silly, 150-mile-an-hour baseball. Like, okay, watch a YouTube video or go to someone that coaches that.
Right. Get some one-on-one, hands-on.
Exactly. But anyway, it's very fascinating.
No, that's great. Just a few more.
Okay.
We got so many. We got 1:30. It's 1:36. We're solid.
I had to talk fast, so I apologize for that. I get excited and passionate. You don't have to remember it all. Don't worry. Okay, mindful scar touch. Yeah, so always being present and giving it some love. This also, okay, so this comes, I believe it's like, this is a Rachel and Jill technique. So I'll do these techniques too, and you're also going to probably talk about it, I'm guessing, in your practice as well. Making that mind-body connection, reconnecting and giving it some love. And I basically say that, you're going to touch it and you're going to see it and you're going to talk to it like you would a friend or a child that you love that's really bummed out, and say, this is part of me, I'm safe in my body. You could say, you did an amazing job. You grew a human, and you came out and you held my baby, and you birthed my baby. You know, we're going to get you better. And I know you need some love. So we're going to do that for you. Somatic mapping. That's probably more of, I would say, more of a Rachel. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that. I'll finish, and then if you want to embellish, does that sound good? Yeah. Scar visualization. Yeah. So I do that. Setting worth anytime you have your own hands, you put your hands there, and then you can like whatever works for you, like, you know, whether it's warmth or energy or good vibes. And I usually use love. Send the love there. In your body's music. So I say that a lot. Yeah, I wrote that. Sorry, you made a human. There you go. There's my words. Pleasure reintroduction tools. So I use things such as like vibrating wands. They're more of a therapeutic tool. It does not mean you can't use it for pleasure either. And actually, I encourage creating pleasure because it causes more blood flow to the clitoris. The clitoris will then swell. Like, I'm going to, again, probably make a mistake with my statistics, but I want to say it swells like 300 times its size. So it's craziness, right? It's like there it goes. But it causes more blood flow. And think about if you cause the organ, I'm going to take out my vulva. Here's my vulva. Well, it's not my vulva directly, but these are the little legs here, and this is the little head. And for males, it's all combined, right? And the head is quite large. Now that clitoral head, let me tell you, that has more nerve endings than any male's glands. So you got the bomb ladies. So anyways, so it's underneath the muscles, but when it swells, it's going to stretch these tissues. So if you have tissue tension or fascia or guarding, it's going to help you get past the pain. Okay, so pleasure is positive, whether it's a little bit of vibration. You don't have to go right to the spot. Actually, I don't recommend going right to the, you can go on your thighs, wherever you feel good, and get a little bit of that tingly arousal. That's a good thing. And I have a wide variety of types of vibration wands. And it doesn't even have to be a wand. It can be like one of my favorite things is the kiwi. It's over there on my wall, but they're on tongue press. Anyways, yeah, I got the toys that you can look at and touch, and you can pick which one you think works well for you. Silicone for gentle external use, thighs, abdomen. Okay, good. You can do arms. Yeah, if you're really phobic, you can just put it in your cart and leave it there in your Amazon cart. Okay, I say the Amazon, but you can leave it in any cart there and just think about it. And then if you decide to buy it, you can put it on your nightstand and just keep it in the box and think about it. Or you can just bring it in and say, "Oh, look what I got. Let's learn how to use that." So we go at your own pace. Scar massage oil or arousal oil. So when I work with tissue, I usually don't use oil because it helps me to grab the fascia. When you use oil, it doesn't mean it's bad. You're not going to be able to move the fascia. Now, if you're using a silicone cup, yeah, you're going to need to use that oil so it slides and glides better. But yeah, certainly, if it makes you feel good and you're not allergic to it, amen, sister, right? Mm-hmm. And even if it's on your feet, start there. You like that? Go for it. I always go for like the shoulders. I like my shoulders rubbed. Please rub them. Mm-hmm. That sounds nice. So this might sound nice. Let's get a massage later.
Yeah. No, that's honestly a lot of these things is things that I cover as well. The somatic mapping that Dylan mentioned is that depending on how it feels comfortable for you, you can either sit there by yourself or with your partner and figure out, okay, maybe you really like the scalp. Maybe there's tension there and you need to be able to just be like, okay, I'm going to be calm and gentle with myself. Maybe it's in your neck and your shoulders, figuring out where the tension is, breathing through it. I literally just taught a yoga class like an hour ago, so I'm still in yoga mind. But being able to breathe through it is super helpful. Noticing emotion, but making sure we're not being judgy about it. It's just, I noticed that I'm feeling anxiety here, anger here, sadness here, wherever it might be on your body, and being really, really gentle. And then you had mentioned also, Jill, of figuring out, if anything, almost like erogenous zone mapping of what feels good for you. If you do that by yourself, with a partner, I also do sometimes like, not stick figure, but very basic 2D breakdowns of a body, and you put like maybe green is a really solid color, ready to go, definitely an okay spot to touch me. Yellow's a maybe, red's a do not touch me, I'm not ready for that, or do not ever touch me there. Like, I think we all have our spots. Like, I don't like my feet tickled, don't touch me. That's a red. They're not my thing. So figuring out where your erogenous zones are currently, even if anything, like a snapshot, and you can notice progress over time, can be really fun to be like, okay, now that I've been doing some work with Jill and with Rachel, I'm now in a place that I can have my yellows are now greens again. That can be really fun to mark that progress and have a visual. So I love doing that. You mentioned the vibrators, the wands. I definitely recommend those, but definitely make sure there's some solid guidance first. I'm not just like, hey, go buy that thing and see what happens. There needs to be some kind of guidance discussion, something, before we just play with a wand and see what happens. So definitely agree there. Was there anything else you wanted to cover on this slide before I keep moving, Jill?
Just a little hint. This is something I tell my women. I said, so if you decide to get a wand, you don't need to share it with your partner, meaning they don't even have to know about it. Mm-hmm. So there's no pressure. Your job is to figure out like what feels good to you and get comfortable and find out like your mapping, what's green, what's red, this and that. And then if you later on you want to share the wand, you can. And sometimes partners like wands on themselves. You never know. I just say go from front to back, and if they use it on their back, then make sure it's clean for you.
Yes. Sure. Yeah. Be careful before it's anywhere else. Absolutely.
But it doesn't have to be used for sexual purposes. It can be used just for therapy purposes.
Mm-hmm.
It works for you.
And there's some good ones out there. Towards the end, we have like a resources page, so stay tuned. There's some good ones out there. So some things that a sex therapist might teach is self-compassion practices. I would think any mental health therapist could help with that, with journal prompts, mirror affirmations, because there's things I've noticed personally and also with clients that writing down an affirmation is one thing, but then to say it to yourself in the mirror is so much more powerful and a little uncomfortable. So it's okay if it takes a moment to build up to that, almost like exposure therapy, right? Of, okay, I'm going to desensitize myself to saying these things out loud. Maybe I'll write it down first. I'll think about it first. Find ways to be more gentle with yourself. That's great for anybody, because I know our society is very intense on pressure and high expectations and perfectionistic. So making sure that we're gentle with ourselves as we're healing. The nervous system regulation, I could spend a whole hour webinar talking about our nervous system because it's so tied with mind-body connection. But to briefly summarize, so you can do grounding, making sure your exhales are longer than your inhales. Because if we're just going in and out really quickly in shallow breathing, that's not helping us calm down. It leads to more hyper arousal and more intense emotions. So we want to have a nice breathe in and long exhale. Having warm baths, weighted blankets before intimacy, but also anytime. I sleep with a weighted blanket and it is so happy, because I immediately just curl under there and I feel like I'm in a little warm weighted cave, and it's so nice, and I just tap out. So weighted blankets are amazing for anxious minds that won't shut off. If you're feeling anxious about certain pain and concerns, especially before intimacy, love it. With window of tolerance, I'm trying to think time-wise. If anything, I'll have like a round 2 just about the window of tolerance alone. But it's basically finding a way to, the window of tolerance is where you feel open, safe, curious, adaptable, somewhat normal, quote unquote, sense of nervous system. And then there's hyperarousal, of where we might be anxious, irritable, trouble with sleep and digestion, fight or flight response. And then hypoarousal is where we might be isolated, depressed, withdrawn, again, trouble with sleep and digestion. So if anything, you got to have that sweet spot to have good sleep and digestion in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And with hypoarousal is when you might be in more of like a functional freeze response. So you want to make sure that if you're in hyperarousal, we have ways to come back into the window without crashing into hypo, and vice versa. If we're in hypo, we don't want to skyrocket into hyperarousal, where we're really stressed out and we're on an intense roller coaster all the time. Now, I will say, part of working with postpartum moms and that kind of thing, your hormones are all over the place. That's expected. Please do not expect this like lovely window of tolerance all the time. We're not going to be there, because you have to regulate first. It's a big life experience. But I just want to make sure that we're able to calm and regulate our nervous system over time. Something that's called sensate focus, I'm obsessed with. It's where you desensitize anything that's any kind of touch, for that matter. You're able to have some build up exposures. If anything, we're having no expectations. It's not saying that an orgasm is the goal. It's the goal is pleasure. The goal is time together. The goal is to have gentle touch. That's what you start out as. And so it can be between 6 and 8 homework sessions with yourself, with your partner. You can do sensate focus by yourself. That's an option as well. That you can, like it says, rebuild comfort before intercourse even becomes something on the table. I've had couples that spent 2-3 months, if that's what was needed, especially after a traumatic birth, that they wanted to make sure that they felt comfortable having a hug, having any kind of welcomed, consensual touch after a certain sexual trauma. So it's very slowly building up over time. But it's wild the kind of progress people can make with sensate focus. I'm a big fan. Let's see. Jill, if you want to take this one about the central sensitization inventory and all of that.
Oh, yes. So in general, there's something that's called the Central Sensitization Inventory. Ooh, that's a mouthful, or the CSI test. So sometimes when I have people that come in, and you could be a person recovering from a C-section or a whole bunch of other things, but the longer you have pain or other comorbidities, basically health problems, the higher your central nervous system might be sensitized, meaning, I think we talked a little bit about that deer in the headlights. So say a normal response to, say, I'm just going to put this out there, getting a hug. Okay. Say that was totally fine for you. And the person who has a sensitized nervous system, they interpret that hug as being dangerous and very painful. And so what happens is the longer we have pain, the more the nervous system starts to be very protective of itself and guarded. And so it's looking for any evidence of a little bit of pain, and it's going to alert the brain saying danger. So another way I usually say this to my women is kind of if you have, it's like meerkats. You know what meerkats are? There's little animals in they're cute. They poke their heads up. They're looking around, looking for danger, right? They're meerkats. So they all unfortunately say the meerkats were in a big fire, and they had a lot of trauma from that. And so then they smell maybe a slight whiff of smoke. Well, that doesn't mean that the house is on fire, but your nervous system interprets that as. So sometimes this touch, or even even the thoughts of that, or a visual cue, can set that response up, and that's your brain kind of protecting you. And so I'll suspect that, and I'll have them score it, and it gives them it's either they're not highly sensitized or they are. Usually they are when I suspect it. And then you can watch, it gives you a score, and you can watch over time as you work on training the nervous system, down training and regulating that. You'll see that score come down. So that's what that's about. Yeah. I said libido dips from hormone shifts. Oh, that's major. Yeah. It's like my desire's gone. Yeah. I bet it is. You are correct. Estrogen has a huge player in it for postpartum moms, including perimenopausal, menopausal people. But and it's going to affect your fatigue, and your nervous system is less likely to be regulated, meaning that it's easier to get when you don't have the estrogen. And it's because usually you had your baby, and you're producing milk, and that prolactin suppresses your ovaries from ovulating. So you're in a low estrogen state, you're not having your cycle. So basically you are in menopause. It's surprising. Did you know that? Postpartum, you're in menopause. Welcome to menopause. And guess what? It comes back because that is our life cycle. So if you feel what's happening to me? Yes. And you'll be prepared. You'll know what to look for and how to get help. Distinguishing between pain, tightness, and fear responses. Yeah, that's a tough thing. So I help people with that. They're wow, that's really painful. And so I'll okay, let me see your hand, and I'll do okay, I'm testing the tomato here for how if it's ripe or not. That's the amount of pressure I'm using in your pelvic floor, or maybe on your abdomen. And they're really? I'm yeah, that's how sensitive your nerves are. They're on fire. They're ready to they're ready to bolt, to help save your organs, basically. And then gentle re-entry into pleasure. Yeah. So I Rachel, you probably coach people as well. Yeah. I usually have people find what feels good for them first. You don't even have to advertise it, and what feels safe. And then I tell them, when you're ready to invite, have plan A, plan B, plan C. And I also say the pleasure is the goal. It's not about penetration or orgasm. It's the pleasure. And you driving the bus. Basically, you take control. So say, well, this plan A, plan B, plan C, and I'm going to drive the bus. So you stay there, and I'm going to direct.
Yep. I'm the cruise director here.
Who have pain and fear, the control back, they tend to do better, faster. Give them the control.
Let's see. I know we've got about 5 minutes left. So if there's anybody that needs to tap out for a meeting or something, you're welcome to tap out if you need to, because we will have this recorded and uploaded somewhere. But if you want to stay a bit longer so we can get through the slides, then you're welcome to, and we can ask questions at the end. Okay, so communication and emotional intimacy. Making sure that we're talking about fears without shutting down the intimacy. So you can do things like separating fear from the rejection, talking outside of sexual moments, using body-based language, not medical explanations. Make sure it's about you and your experience, and naming what is available. So some of these things that could be helpful to say, I want closeness with you, and I'm also carrying some fear since my C-section. I think what's really helpful is using an and in there instead of a but, because using but language, which is funny because we are talking about buts, is that it kind of shuts down the beginning of that sentence. So if I said, I want closeness with you, but I'm stressed about my C-section, they're going to hear I'm stressed about the C-section. But having and, you're allowed to feel both, and you can help to let the listener understand this is where I'm coming from. I love the last piece of it, of naming what's available. I'm not ready for X, and I'm open to Y. So maybe it's, I'm not ready for intercourse, or using a toy, or using any sort of kind of digit near my vaginal canal, and I'm open to hugging, cuddling, holding hands, spooning, some kind of other massage, genital massage. It doesn't have to be, gosh, this takes me back to high school, like hitting a home run of having intercourse. Okay, so we've got options there. Making sure that you can invite your partner into collaboration, normalizing the grief, not just the fear. And there's a gentle script that you could play with here of, I want to be close to you, and my body is still learning that it's safe after surgery. I don't want that fear to create distance between us. So I'd love to stay connected in ways that feel good while I rebuild trust. I don't know anybody that's going to just whip this out and have it word for word of like, did that make sense, honey? No. But if there's a way to paraphrase and summarize, saying things is like, I'm still working on me and my experience with this. Thank you for your patience and your understanding. I feel really supported and loved. I want to find a way to have trust with myself and my body and with you, and we're going to make this happen. Tends to work pretty well because it's making sure that the partner feels included. Okay. I think we've mentioned this 3 times now. Pleasure is the measure. That's the goal. Please get that lightly drilled into your heads. That's hopefully the whole point. The goal should not be, when we have intercourse, when we have any kind of sexual activity, that the goal is orgasm or we failed. There's a lot of societal expectation, media expectation, that that's what it's supposed to be. When in reality, why not just enjoy the person that you're interacting with and your time together? And if there happens to be a pleasurable arousal moment, fantastic. But it doesn't have to be the goal. So one of my favorite exercises to teach is a 1-5-10 exercise. It's from Gottman Method Couples Therapy. If you want to do some research, they have an absurd amount of research and studies about couples and intimacy. I'm very impressed with them. So the 1-5-10 exercise is saying that it's kind of almost like a spectrum of where you are in terms of interest in being intimate. So a 1 could be, do not touch me, do not look at me, I am touched out, the baby bit my chest off today, is a 1. Not happening. You're still cute and sexy, but don't. Right?
I love that.
5. A 5 can be, maybe if you do a little something, maybe like a nice little massage, or you kiss my neck a little, then maybe I'll be like more prepared and ready for it. So that tends to be something called responsive desire, that you need a little bit of wooing, of courting, of something to warm you up to the idea. So that could be a 5. And then a 10 is, I am ready. Meet you in the bedroom in 2 minutes. Drop trowel. Let's go. So that helps to sometimes, especially around young kids, to be like, hey, I'm at a 5. You don't have to be like, hey, can you do something to help me out? That's awkward around kids and around family members. Just be like, oh, I'm at a 5 right now. Let's see where we're at. And it still lets your partner know, as long as also please share that with your partner. Don't just say, I'm at a 5. They're gonna be like, what's a 5? Please tell your partner this is what it is. Let's use this kind of system so you can talk to them and share what's going on. Some language examples. Can we focus on closeness instead of penetration? I want to feel connected even if we don't have sex. It's just re-solidifying the pleasure, the connection, physical closeness, if that feels comfortable. Some things that a partner can do could be gentle massage, active listening. What else might sound nice based on love languages? So I could spend a whole nother hour about love languages and erotic blueprints and all sorts of fun things. If you guys want to do some fun webinars in the future about that, let me know. So give me some feedback. But love languages is just a way of how you feel love, but it's also of how you show love. So it could be words of affirmation, receiving gifts, come on, brain, acts of service, quality time. Oh my gosh, there's one more. Is blanking and leaving my mind. If anything, send me an email and I'll send you a $5 gift card if you can find out the other one, okay? So it's left my brain. I have 2 littles. We're just on so partner support ideas. It's just making sure that you're checking in with your partner, especially the one that didn't receive the C-section, that you're just like, hey, how we doing? How can I love on you right now? And expressing gratitude, because you're both healing. You're both going through this journey together. Mm-hmm. Whether you had the C-section or not, whichever partner you are, you're still figuring out, okay, that was my past self. That was a past chapter of my life. Now I'm a parent. Now I'm a caregiver. And not to mention all the other roles and hats I wear in my life. I'm adjusting. So being gentle with each other is lovely. Okay. If you want, I can run through this one, Jill. Okay. Sure. So a PT can help with an amazing amount of things here. Helping with abdominal back pain, C-section scar tissue, constipation, bladder, stress, improving sleep, reducing sexual pain, regaining confidence. The list goes on and on. A PT is amazing. And that's why I partner with them, because they do so much. And Jill and I were talking a few weeks ago just of like how much overlap there is between the things that we do, but both are needed. So if you came to Jill just to do all of these amazing things, then it still helps to have someone to check in on the emotional side, and vice versa. I can walk you through a bunch of things and give you cool, sexy tips and coach and all the things about mental health and all of that, but you still might need some physical hands-on stuff, and I'm not trained for that. So that's why I would send you to Jill. So make sure that you've got some lovely people in your corner and a good support team. Therapists, like I mentioned, self-image, anxiety, connection, pleasure exploration, some couple stuff if that feels right for you. Normalizing change. So the example that we've got is that the client doing scar work at home while journaling emotional sensations that come up while discussed in therapy. That's just one example. Please keep in mind, you could have a very different experience, whether it's a vaginal or a C-section, and you'll still be maybe doing some journaling, processing out loud, going to a support group, and needing to make sure that you discuss things in therapy or with your physical therapist. And sometimes the physical therapist is the one that's like, hey, I think you should maybe talk to Sally, because Sally has some things that she brought up in our PT session that could be discussed in a different way. So we'll cross refer. It's a cool team we have here. Tools and resources, just because of time. I think if anybody's still on here, you're going to get a recording. Just a brief run through, take a couple seconds and look. There is a wild amount of things that can be helpful here. I have no doubt that if you reach out to Jill, that she can do a consultation, be like, hey, let me get you in. We can figure out if you need a TENS unit, if you need moist heat, if you need abdominal binders, some kind of sexual health progression exercise, breathing. She's got you there. And then some of the things that I've got, you can see this as well, but some of the companies that I know that I'm impressed with, and I know that it seems like Jill is as well, of the pelvic people. You mentioned the Kiwi device. I'm obsessed with it.
I love
It's
the
so
Kiwi.
cool.
The Kiwi is so cool.
Oh my gosh. And then I've done some partnerships with like Kendra, New Flora, Intimate Rose, Bloomy. These are all heavily researched, not just some random company on Amazon that says they do a thing. They're actually backed by really wonderful people, and especially with Bloomy, I'm impressed with them because they are made by a sexologist, so they actually are very prepared to cover things. So some great books are there if you want to read some of those. I've got links on my website and Amazon storefront if you want to creep on some of those. I'm sure Jill has some referral links as well for some products that she has in her office, and especially the Kiwi. So keep that in mind if you work with us. Be like, hey, do you have a discount code? Do you have a way that we can make sure that we save a little bit of money here and there?
I really like VWell. VWell has a variety of products. It's more for public health.
Cool.
It's not necessarily, you can use it for sexual pleasure, but it's more in the therapy run. But some of them you can actually bend and reach around, do trigger points, different vibrations. You can use them in the water. So a wide variety. I like a multi faceted tool, many uses.
Absolutely. Now I have homework to go and check out VWell. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. Let's see, just brief takeaways. Healing is both physical and emotional. You are allowed to take your time. Intimacy can be redefined, not lost. Pleasure after birth is not a luxury, it's part of healing. So just please be gentle with yourselves or the people you're interacting with that you're supporting. And then does anybody have any questions you want to pop in the chat, or you want to hop on camera and say aloud before we wrap up? Seems like we're solid. Ooh, hello. Hi.
Hey, so I'm also a patient advocate as well as working in the doula sphere. And so I help with people doing like surgery recovery pretty often. And I work in the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome sphere, a lot of connective tissue issues. Dudes end up with EDS, end up with a lot of surgery in that area because things prolapse. And so they end up having to have things tacked into place. Are there any local resources for a similar male-oriented pelvic floor? Because like I hear all sorts of like awful stories where everything's painful afterwards. And I don't know how to, I don't know that next step of care in that, because I'm sure they're having the same scarring and stuff issues, Anyway, so that's my question, is if there's any resources that I can refer prolapse surgery people to.
So you're talking for the male population?
Yeah. Yeah, because they have shit that falls through their pelvic floor. You don't want to know how often it is. It's pretty awful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trained in males. I don't market to them, but if you go to a pelvic physical therapist, that I would recommend someone that has advanced training, more than 5 years of training. They're probably going to be very well versed in ADS disorders, and one that it concentrates in males or sees males and females. But that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's
not fun.
All these things that y'all have talked about, I'm like, it affects a lot of people. It's
pretty, yeah.
It's not, I'm glad y'all exist, because people walk around in pain all the time. It's really awful.
Absolutely. No, that's fair. In terms of, you mentioned local, are you in like Forsyth County area? Where are you located?
Metro Atlanta.
Metro Atlanta. I wonder, because I know that Jill and I are both Forsyth County realm. There, I always would rather, definitely some kind of physical therapist that's aware and works with that population, maybe any urologist to connect with and network with. Maybe they have some other connection.
So you can also you can DM me. I know we've known each other for a while. So, but Southern Public Health, they're Jessica Riel. I think they treat males, and she's got a lot of experience, and so she trains her staff well, and she could be a resource for you. She's in Sandy Springs. I think she may have in one other office, but doesn't mean that she's the only person that's great. Okay, so. But look, like for someone that treats males that has about 5 years of experience or more, they're more likely to be well versed in all the things. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice. Anybody have any other questions before we wrap up and share our contact info? Going, gone. Okay. So if needed, you can take a screenshot of this. This is ways to contact Jill and myself. And I've got the QR codes. I'm 90% sure they're fixed and they're okay. If they are not, please tell me. But that's our information. We're both located in Forsyth County area, but I'm pretty sure we could both do, I know at least for myself, I can do virtual in terms of coaching, therapy, that kind of thing, if needed. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us and sharing your time and energy. And if you have questions, you're welcome to email us. That there is a recording, so I'll make sure that I can send that out through the Eventbrite, or either just from direct email with how I sent out the Google Meet link. And we'll go from there. If there's any feedback or interest in other kind of webinars, please let us know. It's always fun to get new ideas and things to share with the world, and we'll go from there. And if anyone's is Atlanta based, good luck with the potential ice apocalypse that's going on this weekend. We'll see how it goes. Great.
Yes.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.